mean to take 1/2 and divide it by 4? Imagine this unit bar here is one whole unit. It's already divided in 1/2. What are we going to do to divide 1/2 by 4 in our model? Jana?
Wouldn't you do 1/2 times 1/4?
In my model, though, what am I doing? Marissa?
Dividing 1/2 into 4 different.
Good. We're dividing it into 4 different pieces, right? But I can't leave the other half not the same size pieces, so I have to divide this side as well. All right? And we're being asked to find out what's the size of one of those pieces. Does anybody know what the size of one of those pieces is? Isabel?
It would be 1/4. Wait,
no,
no, 1/8.
It's 1/8. Okay? So we want to make sure that when we divide this into 4 equal parts, that we know that it's 1/8. Dividing by 4, I want you to write this down, dividing by 4, okay, is the same as finding. Does anybody know what we can use to fill in the blank? There's 2 words. Katie.
1/4.
Finding 1/4 of something. Okay? And what does the word of mean in math, kids? Times. So if we're dividing by 4, we're taking 1/2 and we're finding 1/4 of 1/2. So we take 1/2 times 1/4, which is what Janice said, 1/2 times 1/4. And we know, kids, that equals 1/8. Do not do a big long string of fractions. You're working down. Every step is on a new line. All right, well, let's do the same thing with 1/3 divided by 2. You can see this unit bar here. We have 3 pieces. Each, we have 1/3. And we're dividing by 2. So what should we do to the unit bar? Jamie?
We should split them into 2.
Split each one into 2 pieces. Dividing by 2 is the same as finding what, Emma?
1/2 of 1/3.
1/2 of 1/3. So I can rewrite that as 1/3 times 1/2, and that gives me what, kids?
1/6.
1/6, and that's my answer. 4. So what would be our question today? How many, for 4 divided by 2/5, you can finish my question here. How many, Michael H.?
How many fourths are in 2?
Well, in this, what's my whole though?
4.
So how many
2/5 are
2/5 are in 4? Okay, so now this is pretty challenging here. We want to know how many 2/5 are in 4. So we're going to start like we did yesterday. Okay, we're going to divide all the unit bars into what? Fifths. Divide all the unit bars into fifths. Now, I know that I have 20 fifths. Okay, I want to know how many groups of 2/5 do I have? How can I find that out? How many groups of 2/5? What do you think, Katie?
Find the total number of fifths and divide it by 2.
Oh, and how can I do that on my model? If I want groups of 2/5, I can circle what? Groups of 2/5. Here's one group. Go ahead and circle all of the groups of 2/5. That's exactly what she said. We are taking the total number of fifths and dividing it by 2. So how many groups are there, kids? 10 groups of 2/5. All right, well now how do we do this in math? Okay, if we take 4 and we divide it by 2/5, what we do is we can rewrite that as 4, you can do 4 or 4/1, times 5/2. Now, the 5 represents, 4 times 5 is 20, kids, and we had 20 what? 20 what? Fifths. So that this top here represents total fifths. And then the bottom, dividing by 2, is grouping or groups of 2. So total fifths divided into groups of 2. Okay? When we multiply 4 over 1 times 5 over 2, we would get 20 over 2, which simplifies to 10. But I can also do what with 4 and 2 here, kids? Olivia? So 2 becomes 1, 4 becomes 5 times 2 is 10. Should I do 10 or 10 over 1? 10 is more simple, simplest form. Okay, now, let's go on to this next one. Let's try another one here. 4 divided by 3/4. First, I need somebody to finish my how many sentence. How many, Jamie?
How many 3/4 are 4?
How many 3/4 are in 4? So you see we start with 4 wholes. I'm going to divide each whole into what, Cormac?
4?
Fourths. Divide each whole into fourths. And then what are we going to do next? What are we going to do next, Christopher?
Circle 3/4 of all groups.
Circle the groups of 3/4. Very good. There's one group. Yep, you got to cross over. There's another group. There's 3, 4. Uh-oh. We have 5 groups with a remainder of 1. You and your table mate need to decide if it's 1/6, 1/8, 1/16, 1/4, 1/3, 1/2. Discuss. Go.
Okay,
So it is 5 and 1/3 because we have created groups of 3. Let's do the real math. Who can rewrite this division problem as a multiplication problem? I have to come back to Olivia because she wanted to say it before. Olivia.
4 over 1 times 4 over 3.
Good. Can I simplify? No, I can't. Go.
Which would give you the answer 16 over 3, simplified to 5 1/3.
There we go. So our algorithm proves our model to be correct. You're not always going to have time to model this out in real life, so that's why we want to know how to do this mathematically. I do not, I repeat, do not want this. Yeah, oops is right. No strings of algebra or of fractions. Okay, first of all, it's hard to grade. Second of all, it's hard for you to find your mistake. So I will not accept that. All right, now you and your table mate, I want you to do the same for 3 divided by 4/5. Ready, go. Someone please tell me how I've got 3 divided by 4/5. I have my 3 wholes. What should I do first to my model, Brian?
Divide each whole into fifths.
Okay, I need 5/5 in each whole. So, all right, so there we go, 5/5. I have 15/5. Now what? Now what? Ananya.
Circle 4 out of 5. Like 4 groups.
Groups of,
4 groups of 1.
just count, not how many groups, just what, groups of what? How many do I need?
4.
Groups of 4.
Okay.
That's what we're looking for. We're looking for groups of 4. And how many groups do we have, kids? 3 groups with how many leftovers?
3
4. Okay, let's prove it with the algorithm. I need someone please to rewrite this as equivalent multiplication. Sanji.
3 over 1 and 5 over
Good. I cannot simplify here now that I have multiplication. I have multiplication, but nothing is simplifiable. So now what do I get after I multiply? Cormac.
15 over 4, which is equal.
And you're going to write that underneath, not next to it. Very good. To divide 2 fractions, we change the multiplication by, does anybody know what that's called when you have a fraction like 4/5 and you change it to 5/4? There's a vocabulary term. What do you think, Michael? Okay, it is called the reciprocal. RECIPROCAL. It's the reciprocal. So we change to the reciprocal of the second fraction. Alright, now if you think back to equivalent addition, you don't have to write this down, but we used to have 4 minus 2. And I'd say, okay kids, 4 stays the same. Minus becomes and 2 becomes negative 2. So we would change that second term. And we also change our sign or our operation. You're going to do the same thing here. The first term stays the same. Division becomes multiplication. C over D. Who can give me the reciprocal of C over D? Correct. D over C. Okay. Now let me tell you something else about reciprocals. Okay. And I want you to write this down. The product of reciprocals is always something. Don't write something. If I were to multiply 4/5 times 5/4, what would we get, Marissa? Well, I simplify this. And then what else can I simplify? Olivia?
4/4.
So we would get? 1. So our 4 over 4 would simplify also to 1. So any reciprocal that you multiply to itself, you're going to get 1. Always. All right, let's look at example 6. 1/4 divided by 1/8. I need someone to rewrite that with multiplication. Christopher.
4 over 1.
What's my 1/4? 1/4 stays the same. Good. Times.
Times 8 over 9.
Good. We take the reciprocal of the second fraction. Once we have multiplication, now we can what? Simplify. 4 becomes? It can become 2, but it also can become 1. 8 becomes?
2.
My answer is?
2.
Okay, what's better, 2 or 2 over 1?
2.
Who can tell me why 2 is better than 2 over 1? Ananya.
2 over 1 is like
2 over 1 is not simplest form, right? So we want 2. All right, you and your table mate, I want you to do example 7. Okay, so who can give me the multiplication? Isabel.
3/8 times 16 over 9.
Good, because we want total 16ths divided by groups of 9. Okay, so that's why we flip it. Okay, 3 becomes? 9 becomes?
3.
8 becomes?
1.
16 becomes?
2.
My answer is?
2.
Good. Very nice.